Hello and welcome to another exam paper walkthrough. Today we're continuing with my half paper series and we're looking at a half paper revision for the foundation tier. This is from Edexcel. This is a series of practice papers that they produced and then they split them down into half papers. Today I'm going to be looking at practice set 1B and I'm going to be looking at paper 2, so it's going to be a calculator paper. That's a copy of the paper. You can find a link in the description to this video that will take you to a PDF copy, actually it's a Word copy, of this paper. I would strongly recommend you download a copy of that and attempt it beforehand or alongside the video. I'd also recommend get some music on in the background. I listen to music while I'm recording the videos. It helps me keep my spirits up, so feel free to do the same. And if you find this useful, please subscribe if you like. Okay, so question one, we're looking at write these numbers in order of size, starting with the smallest. So if I'm trying to teach this to a group that struggle with it, I always say add some zero placeholders just to make it a little bit easier for yourself. So we've got 2 decimal place, 3 decimal 3, 1, 2. So I'm going to add enough decimals so they're all 3. And let me just sort that out. That should have gone in as and 1 there, and then compare them as direct numbers. So we're talking about thousandths, but that's 740 thousandths, or thousandths, 744 thousandths, and so on. And that makes it much more easy to order them. So this would be the smallest, 70 thousandths. So 0.07 is my smallest, and then I have a habit of crossing it out once I've written it down. My next smallest then would be 700 thousandths, which is 0.7. My next smallest then is 704 thousandths, or 0.704. I've then got my final two, and the smallest one then is 0.74, and then finally 0.744. And there we go. And adding those zeros just makes it a little bit more straightforward. If you didn't need them, then that's absolutely fine. Okay, question 2, simplify. So we can take out all the multiplication signs in effect, and we can simplify 3 times 5 into 15. So that's going to be 15, GH or HG, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. I tend to try and put them in alphabetical order. Question 3. The tally chart shows some information about the number of text messages sent by some students last week. Complete the frequency column for the tally chart. Cassie sent 5, 10, 15 text messages. Each bar in a text message or gate represents 5. And then we've got David sent 5 plus 4, so David sent 9. Okay. And then the second part, the pictogram shows the number of text messages sent by Anne and Cassie. Complete the pictogram. So the first thing I'm going to do is complete this key. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes that represent 24. So that tells us how much each box is going to represent. 24 divided by 6. So each box is going to represent 4. So I'm going to draw a square there, and I'm going to say equals 4 text messages. And then I'm going to add the other 2 blocks. So for Bavin, we've got 12. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. So I'm looking for 3 similar blocks. And then for the final one, for David, we're looking for 9. So 9 divided by 4 is going to be 2 1/4. So I'm going to do 2 full blocks and 1/4 of a block. And if we look, my quarters, this kind of implies I'm either looking for a square like that or a square like that. It doesn't particularly matter. I'm going to do a small square in the top corner. And there we go. Question 4. Michael writes down 4 different factors of 60. He adds the 4 factors together. He gets a number greater than 20 but less than 35. What 4 factors could Michael have written down? So I'm going to write all the factors of 60. So I've got 1 and 60, 2 and 30, and I tend to write them in factor pairs. 3 and 10, 20, 4 and 15, 5 and 12, 6 and 10, and that's all of them. Right, so for the final part, I need to select 4 of them. I tend to always go for the easiest version here. So 15 is the most straightforward one. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and 15. Although you could have picked any 4 provided they add up to a number greater than 20 but less than 35. I just always try and give it the easiest answer. Question 5. Write down the name of each of these two 3D shapes. So this is a cone, and this is a cylinder. Okay, question 6. George and Harry work in a factory. They use this rule to calculate the total number, the total pay in pounds. Total pay is equal to 8 times the number of hours worked plus the bonus. George worked 30 hours and he was paid a bonus of £20. Work out George's total pay. So this is a calculator paper, so we can use our calculator for this. But the total pay, or TP, is going to be equal to 8 times by 30 plus 20. And again, we can use a calculator, but 8 times 20 is going to be 24 with a 0, so it's going to be 240 plus 20, which is going to be 260. And then we'll double check with our calculator. So I'm doing, where were we? 8 times by 30 plus 20. 260. And for some reason I didn't write 260. I only wrote 20. So let's just change that. There we go. Okay, Harry worked 34 hours. His total pay was £300. Work out the bonus that Harry was paid. So this time we're told what his total pay was, and we're also told that he worked 34 hours, but we do not know the bonus, so I'm going to say plus B. So 8 times by 34 is 272, so 300 is going to be equal to 272 plus the bonus, so the bonus is going to be 300 minus 272, so 28 is equal to the bonus, so the bonus was £28. Okay, question 7. John cleans carpets of two different areas. He uses the graph to work out the cost of cleaning a carpet. So we've got the cost and we've got the area. A carpet has an area of 30 meters squared. Use the graph to work out the cost of cleaning this carpet. Okay, so what we want to do here then really is at 30 we want to go up to our graph. So let's just, scale's not great on these printed versions. I'm going to say 30 is there. I'm going to go up to my graph. Okay, so my ruler's not working particularly well at the moment, so I'm going to have to do this freehand. So I'm going to go up to my line, and where I hit my line I'm going to go across. and read it off there. So I'm looking at about 125, I think. So I'm going to go 125. It costs £150 to clean another carpet. Use the graph to find the area of this carpet. So I'm going to go, I'll change pen colour for this one, hopefully. So 150, I'm going to go across to where I hit my line, and then I'm going to come down. So I'm looking. So that's looking like 35, between 35 and 36. So I'm going to go 35.5 just to be as accurate as I can. So I'm going 35.5 meters squared. A rectangular carpet has a length of 8.6 meters and a width of 5 meters. Work out the cost of cleaning this carpet. Okay, so this is a nice mark for 3. It asks us, we've got to work out the area first of all. So the area is going to be, let's try that again. The area is going to be 5 times by 8.6. So 5 times by 8.6 is going to give us an area of 43 meters squared. So we want to work out the area then. So 43. So that's going to be 40, 1, 2, 3. So I'm looking here up until I hit my graph. Right, it's not, my pen's not working. And then across. Okay, so that is looking pretty much halfway between 150 and 100 and 200, actually slightly above. So I'm going to go 180. Okay. Okay. Question 9. Eric travels from the UK to India every year. In 2010, the exchange rate was £1 for 67.1 rupees. In 2012, the exchange rate was £1 for 82.5 rupees. In 2010, Eric changed £600 into rupees. How many pounds did Eric have to change in rupees in 2012 to make the same number of rupees as he did in 2010? So to do this, I'm going to do this as one sum. I'm going to do 600 times by the exchange rate of 67.1. That will tell me how many rupees he would have got back in 2012. And then if I divide it by the new exchange rate of 82.5, that will tell me how many pounds he would need to change to have the same amount of money. So 600 times by 67.1. To be fair, I can put that dividing at any point, 82.5, and that's going to give me 488. Question 10. The scatter graph shows some information about 10 cars. It shows the time in seconds it takes for each car to go from 0 to 60 miles per hour. For each of the car, it also shows the maximum speed in miles per hour. So we've got maximum speed on the y-axis and we've got time on the x-axis. What type of correlation does this scatter diagram show? It's going downwards, so it shows negative correlation. So I'm looking for negative correlation. And part B, estimate. So a car takes, the time a car takes to go from 0 to 60 is 11 seconds. Estimate the maximum speed of the car. And this is a typical 2-mark question. So the first mark is for your line of best fit. Okay, so I've just put a line in. I'm now going to attempt to move it around to meet a line of best fit. So that's not bad, actually. So I'm going to call that my line of best fit. And then I need to go at 11 seconds. I need to do a line up to my line of best fit. And then from 11 seconds, I'm going to go across. So this graph is going up in ones. So I'd make that 121. Okay, question 11. So we've got some simultaneous equations, so 2 equations, and we're trying to find the values. And the way I would do this is I'm going to call that equation 1 and that equation 2. And my first step is I'm going to subtract 1 from the other because I've got the same x value coefficient. I've got a 1 and a 1, and I've got a positive and a positive, so I'm going to subtract 1 from the other. So equation 1 minus equation 2. So if I do 1, take away 1, that's 0. 2y, take away negative y would be 3. I'm then going to divide both sides by 3. And that would give me y is equal to minus 1. I'm then going to sub my value for y back into one of my initial equations. So that says that x minus negative 1 is equal to 6. So that means that x plus 1 is equal to 6. So x would be equal to minus 1 from both sides, 5. So now I've got my values. I'm just going to do a quick check with the one that I didn't use. So check with equation 1. So x, that's 5, minus 2 is equal to 3. So I know that I've got that right. So x is 5 and y is minus 1. There we go. Okay, question 12. Colin, David and Emma share some money. Colin gets 3/10 of the money. Emma and David share the rest of the money in the ratio of 3 to 2. What is David's share of the money? So I'm going to kind of put that information into a ratio table, partial ratio table. So Colin gets 3/10, and then that means that this combined share is 7/10. And then the final part is that those two people share the ratio, share the money, the rest of the ratio. Let's try and move that back up. And then the second part says that Emma and David, so we're giving it in reverse order here, Emma and David sharing the ratio 3 to 2. That's designed to try and catch you out. What will David's share of the money be? So, well, David's share would be, let's go fractions, 2/5, and Emma's share would be 3/5. So David's share of the 7/10. So we're doing 7 over 10 times by 2 over 5, which would give us 14 out of 50. I'm going to actually rewind that slightly. So I'm going to cancel diagonally first before I multiply. So these two numbers have got 2's in common. So that would go in 5 times, that would go in once. So it's going to be 7 over 25. Which would be absolutely fine as your answer. Other acceptable answers would be, I would imagine, 14 out of 50 or 28%. I think they would all be acceptable answers. Yeah, they would all be acceptable answers. And that brings us to the end of the paper. So before I sign off, I just want to bring in a breakdown of the mark scheme. Okay, this is quite useful. At the end of the mark scheme, Edexcel have broken this down into national performance data from Results Plus. So this gives each of the questions where it actually hit in terms of topic areas, what was new to the spec, and it gives you this mean score, which is quite useful because it kind of tells you which students found the hardest question. So they're saying only 24% was achieved on question 20, which was the simultaneous equations with a negative, so that doesn't surprise me. So that's quite useful, as well as the chapter headings all being broken down into these topics. You can find it here as well. But if, for example, you found question 11 the hardest, solving simultaneous equations, that's where I would direct some topic-specific revision before your next exam. Okay, I hope you found that useful. Thank you very much for your time in watching the video. Please feel free to add any comments, questions or suggestions into the chat to this video. And please remember, subscribe if you like.